What's up, Meta Nerds? This video is all about the modified HKD Lucrehulk-class LH-3210 cargo hauler, better known as the Lucrehulk-class droid control ship. If you notice, I just called it a modified HKD, and it was classified as a cargo holder. That's because this thing was originally manufactured by Horish Kesseldrive, and was intended just to be a cargo freighter. It was 3,000 meters across, or about the same width of 30 football fields. And with its enormous corridors, it could carry 4 million metric tons of cargo. It was equipped with a hyperdrive, 3 enormous thrust engines, and shielding, for hauling things across the galaxy quickly, while still having some protection against pirates. And it was the main cargo vehicle of the massive Trade Federation. And when the organization started having ideas about going to war on Naboo, it said that they modified up to 35% of their cargo fleet. To defend this massive transport, they equipped 42 quad laser cannon emplacements. Having effectively turned this thing into a battleship, they filled it with enough vehicles and troops to take over an entire planet. It contains 6,250 armored assault tanks, 550 multi-troop transports, and 50 C-9979 landing craft. And for space battles, or again just to defend the cargo transport, they had a complement of 1,500 Vulture Droid starfighters. All this meant that it could carry up to 139,000 battle droids, and would be crewed by about 150 droids, not including an additional 25 that operated as the command staff. But the Trade Federation liked to make sure that they had at least 10 organic beings on board, who were usually Neimoidian traders. The way that the Trade Federation, and later CIS, would use these vehicles is by having them emerge out of hyperspace as close as possible to the planet they wanted to invade. It could then use its thrust engines in the back to help get it in the most ideal position. Then they would simply send out Vulture Droids to take out any enemy resistance that might be in the air, and then these starfighters could actually escort the C-9979 landing craft. These of course were loaded up with a ton of MTTs, AATs, and of course B-1 battle droids. Once these units were deployed onto the planet's surface, they could receive orders and provide feedback to the Lucrehulk that was in orbit via an array of 16 receiver stations. These receivers were located all around the ship, and were paired up with other devices that prevented any interference of the signals, and also helped to organize the incoming signals. These receiver stations had a broadcast range of 16,500 kilometers, or 10,252 miles. This massive amount of information was all processed in the center core, which housed the enormous droid control computer. This computer is what maintained the control brain network, which is what the original B-1 battle droids needed in order to operate at all. That's why when we see it destroyed, we see all the droids fall limp. Now the Trade Federation realized this flaw, and updated later B-1 battle droids to be autonomous. But I want to take some time to explain how a little boy was able to destroy this ship just by using 2 proton torpedoes. We saw that the deflector shield was too strong around the core droid control ship. Attempts at taking out the satellites were useless, and exposed the N1 pilots to the quad turbolaser batteries. And we also got to see how the Vulture droids defended their enormous transport, and how one of these droid starfighters inadvertently caused Anakin's starfighter to crash land into the hangar bay. Because it took him a while to regain control of the ship, and actually force a rough landing, he was pretty deep into the Lucrehulk when he finally regained control of his fighter. It's important to point out that when the Trade Federation updated these cargo transports to now become military battleships, they had to install a ton of extra reactors throughout the ship. These were all needed to power up the 150,000 battle droids, along with the hundreds of other droid ships. Never expecting the enemy to actually attack it from within, these power generators were placed throughout the Lucrehulk. So when Anakin took out these ones, it set off an enormous chain reaction, which destroyed the entire ship. After the Battle of Naboo, the Trade Federation's army was no longer a secret, and the Republic gave them strict orders to disband their new military. In order to appear like they were complying, they said they would remove the droid core ship. This way the Lucrehulk would go back to just being a regular cargo transport. But of course, like we saw during the Battle of Geonosis, which is what kicked off the Clone Wars, when the Confederacy of Independent Systems was born, these core ships went back to leading their droid army, and were simply able to reattach to the Lucrehulk whenever it was needed. In Legends, during the Clone Wars, there's a story where some Trandoshans capture a Lucrehulk and actually try and sell it back to the Trade Union, and there's even mentions of Lucrehulk surviving on after the end of the Clone Wars, and being used in separatist holdouts, which were later captured by rebels. The Rebel Alliance then used the Lucrehulk during an attack on the Death Star. And that's where its history ends. But you definitely want to hear these cool facts and some behind the scenes stuff. The Lucrehulk that we see on screen during episode 1 actually has an official name, the Vutin Pala, and we know the name of its captain as well, Captain Dalte Dauphine. It has since appeared in a whole bunch of different video games, and what's really cool is that the Lucrehulk seen in the Battle of Naboo was an actual model. The prequels are often criticized for having too much CGI, but they actually built a model of the Lucrehulk similar to how they built the original Death Star. Later, some computer-generated graphics were added to it, but they did also actually blow one up. Well, that's it for the Lucrehulk-class droid control ship. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that like button, and be sure to leave a comment down below if I missed any cool facts, or if you have a suggestion for future videos. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at MetaNerdsLore, so you can see us build Star Wars props and cosplays, along with some other cool Star Wars stuff. If you want to help support this channel, check out the description below for our Amazon store and our Patreon. And be sure to subscribe, because we're making videos like this every single day. But more important than all that, remember, never leave your hangar bay doors open, and the Force will be with you, always.